Tourist crowds.
Yeah, especially during peak season.
June through August, forget about it.
It's like a sea of people everywhere.
You can barely move, let alone enjoy the sights.
So maybe avoid those months if you can.
Definitely. And then there's the whole siesta thing.
Oh yeah, like those long lunch breaks.
Mostly in Spain, they close up shop for a few hours in the afternoon.
So if you're hoping to do some shopping,
You gotta time it right or you'll be out of luck.
good to know.
And August, they specifically call out August.
What's so special about August?
It's like the perfect storm, peak crowds, scorching heat.
Ugh, not a good combo.
And a lot of locals are on vacation too.
Okay, so today we're setting sail for the Mediterranean.
Ooh,
We're going deep on cruises.
very cool.
You know, those massive ships that take you from one amazing spot to the next?
Right, those floating cities.
Exactly. Kind of like a bigger picture look at Mediterranean Europe.
The good, the bad, maybe you should skip it this time.
Yeah, like, should you even go there? What to expect if you do?
Precisely.
So the goal here is for everyone listening to really get what a Mediterranean cruise is all about.
Yeah, whether you're already packing your bags or just dreaming about it. Starts in Barcelona.
Super lively city, right?
Oh, yeah, total vibe.
And they end all the way in Athens.
Talk about a journey.
But it's not just point A to point B.
Oh, no. They hit up all the hot spots along the way.
Like, what kind of places are we talking?
Okay, so after Barcelona, they dock in Nice on the French Riviera.
Oh la la.
Then La Spezia, which is the gateway to Florence.
Florence, the art, the history.
Then Civitavecchia, the port for Rome.
Ancient Rome, gladiators, the Colosseum.
All of that then, Naples.
That's got to be crazy.
Oh, it is. And then Malta, this island nation with a totally unique feel.
Okay, I'm seeing a theme here. Lots of variety.
Oh, tons. And then to wrap it up, Athens, Mykonos, Santorini.
Those Greek islands everyone dreams of.
White houses, blue roofs, the whole shebang.
Okay, so that's one piece of the puzzle.
The first-hand experience.
And the overview of Mediterranean Europe.
Yeah, this one takes a wider view.
Like, what makes this region so alluring?
Right, and what might make you want to rethink your trip?
So by combining these two, we'll get a pretty complete picture.
Should be a good one.
So let's talk about that appeal first. Why are Mediterranean cruises so popular?
Well, convenience is a huge factor.
Makes sense, you're on this massive ship with everything you need.
Exactly, your transportation, your accommodation, your meals, often all included.
Like one big floating hotel.
Pretty much, and that can be really appealing for a lot of people.
Especially if you're not into planning every little detail.
Yeah, it can be super relaxing. Just go with the flow.
Plus it can save you money, right?
Potentially, yeah, because you're buying everything in a bundle.
But I guess you got to make sure you're actually using everything you're paying for.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
You don't want to be stuck with services you don't need.
And then there's the whole efficiency thing.
Right, you get to see so much in a short amount of time.
Like that itinerary we talked about, Barcelona to Athens with all those stops in between.
It's like a sampler platter of Mediterranean culture.
You get a taste of everything.
Exactly, and without the hassle of packing and unpacking, checking in and out of hotels every other day.
No schlepping luggage around.
Nope. And that can be a real game changer, especially for families or people with mobility issues.
It's like everything's designed to be accessible and easy to navigate.
Right. It's all in one place, a floating resort, if you will.
And I bet those ships have tons to do on board.
Oh, yeah. You're never bored. Swimming pools, gyms, spa shows, restaurants.
It's like a vacation within a vacation.
And here's the interesting thing. Even though you're on this structured environment,
Yeah, it's a very specific itinerary.
cruising can actually be a great base for independent exploration.
So you're not stuck just doing the ship's organized tours.
Exactly. You can totally go off on your own adventure in many of the ports.
Hopping on a local train.
Oh, yeah, to explore the French Riviera.
Nice. Monaco, Villefranche, all by train.
So easy. And they also mentioned going to Florence from La Spezia and Rome from Civitavecchia.
Again, public transport, easy peasy.
And even hiring a private guide in Naples to see Pompeii.
That's so cool. You really have options.
Tons of them. And it's up to you what kind of traveler you are.
Like, do you like things planned out or do you prefer to wing it?
Cruising can cater to both.
So that's the appeal. But what about daily life on a cruise?
What's it actually like?
Yeah, let's walk through a typical day.
Okay, so first you've got embarkation,
Getting on the ship.
which can be a bit of a zoo, especially with thousands of passengers.
I can imagine lots of lines, lots of waiting.
Even talks about some potential delays.
Oh no, so be prepared for that.
Once you're on board, though, you get to settle into your stateroom.
Your little home away from home.
And the tip they give is to unpack everything and really make use of the space.
Because those rooms can be pretty tiny.
Yeah, you got to be organized.
Makes sense. So you're not living out of your suitcase.
Then once you're all settled, the ship sets sail.
Bon voyage.
And the journey itself becomes part of the experience.
You're out on the open water.
Exactly. And that's when you can explore the ship.
Find your bearings.
Hit the gym, which often has amazing ocean views.
Or chill out in the library.
Maybe grab a drink by the pool.
And there's the whole social aspect, meeting other travelers.
Yeah, you're all in this together.
Like a little floating community.
Then, as you approach a port, the excitement builds.
It's shore excursion time.
And like we said, you've got choices galore.
The ship's organized tours, private guides, DIY adventures.
Please check our video description for the best travel and activity prices.
Yeah, those could be lifesavers for navigating new cities.
And hop-off buses, those are super convenient.
So you can really tailor your experience to your interests and budget.
And as the day winds down, you head back to the ship.
Time for dinner.
Maybe catch a show or just relax.
And then anticipation for the next day's destination.
It's like a rhythm, you know.
Wake up in a new place every morning.
The ultimate travel dream.
Okay, but let's get real for a second.
What about the not-so-glamorous side of things?
Yeah, like what, for example?
Well, strikes are a real possibility.
Strikes like workers protesting.
Exactly, and they can affect transportation services, all sorts of things.
So your carefully planned itinerary could get thrown off.
Big time. They give examples like train shutdowns in Rome.
Oh no, that's a nightmare.
Or farmer protests in France blocking roads.
Predict everything.
But the good news is some places like the Lisbon Metro, they post their strike schedules.
So you can at least try to plan around it.
Exactly.
Okay, so strikes, that's one thing. What else?
Tourist crowds.
Yeah, especially during peak season.
June through August, forget about it.
It's like a sea of people everywhere.
You can barely move, let alone enjoy the sights.
So maybe avoid those months if you can.
Definitely. And then there's the whole siesta thing.
Oh yeah, like those long lunch breaks.
Mostly in Spain, they close up shop for a few hours in the afternoon.
So if you're hoping to do some shopping,
you got to time it right or you'll be out of luck.
Good to know.
And August, they specifically call out August.
What's so special about August?
It's like the perfect storm, peak crowds, scorching heat.
Ugh, not a good combo.
And a lot of locals are on vacation too.
So services might be limited even though there are more tourists.
It's a bit of a paradox.
Sounds like August is a month to avoid if you can.
Unless you thrive in chaos.
And then there's the whole issue of aggressive touts and beggars.
Yeah, that can be annoying, especially in touristy areas.
Like people trying to sell you stuff you don't want.
Or asking for money.
Something to be mentally prepared for.
Just keep your wits about you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those are the downsides.
The potential pitfalls.
But let's talk about the good stuff.
The reasons why you'd want to go in the first place.
Like the weather.
Ah, the Mediterranean climate.
Sunshine, warm temperatures.
Perfect for exploring ancient ruins, relaxing on the beach.
It's what dreams are made of.
And the food. Oh my goodness, the food.
Got to be amazing, right?
Fresh local ingredients. Every region has its own specialty.
Like what kind of things are we talking?
They mentioned fresh seafood in Portugal pasta and pizza in Italy.
Classic.
Sophisticated French cuisine, sangria in Spain, souvlaki in Greece.
It's making me hungry just thinking about it.
And they say the people are generally very welcoming.
That's so important.
It really enhances the experience.
Like you feel like you're actually connecting with the culture.
And then, of course, there's the history.
In Rome, ancient Greece, it's all there.
You can walk in the footsteps of emperors and philosophers.
It's just like stepping back in time.
And let's not forget the cafe culture.
Those charming little cafes spilling out onto the streets.
Yeah, you just sit there, sip your coffee or wine, and watch the world go by.
That's the life.
So yeah, you've got the potential drawbacks, but also a ton of amazing things to experience.
It's all about finding that balance.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's focus on cruising again. What should people keep in mind if they're planning a cruise?
Well, packing is interesting.
It's different from regular travel.
You can actually bring more clothes.
Because you're not lugging your suitcase around all the time.
Right, so pack a few extra outfits.
Good to know. What about money?
Most cruise ships use a cashless system. You use your cabin key card for everything.
Oh, that's convenient.
It is, but it can also be dangerous.
How so?
It's easy to overspend because you're not physically handing over cash.
Like you're just swiping your card without thinking.
And then you get hit with a huge bill at the end.
So track your expenses.
Definitely make a budget and stick to it.
And what about those crowds we talked about?
Yeah, they can be a pain.
Any tips for dealing with them?
Well, they recommend trying to get off the ship early in the morning.
Before the masses descend.
Exactly, and maybe linger in port a bit longer after everyone else has gone back.
To avoid the rush hour.
Right, and they talk about how the atmosphere changes once the ships have left.
Like it becomes much more peaceful.
You get a totally different vibe.
Sounds worth it.
And then there's the food situation.
Ship food versus local food.
Now, the food on the ship can be quite good,
I'm sure they have tons of options.
but it's not always authentic to the region.
So it's worth venturing out to try local restaurants.
Absolutely. They recommend tapas in Spain, soka in Nice,
Ooh, I love Zaka.
souvlaki in Greece, and of course pizza in Naples.
You can't go wrong with pizza in Naples.
So make time for those culinary adventures.
It's part of the experience.
And then there's the whole social aspect of cruising.
Like being surrounded by other travelers.
You can meet people from all over the world.
And they mention things like balcony parties.
Yeah, spontaneous gatherings.
Sounds fun.
And then there's the crew.
The people who make the whole thing run smoothly.
They work incredibly hard, and a lot of their income comes from tips.
So tipping is important.
Definitely. And it's often added automatically to your bill.
Good to know.
And the crew themselves are super diverse.
From all different backgrounds.
So you can have some really interesting interactions with them.
Okay, let's talk about some of those iconic sites you mentioned.
The ones you can see on a Mediterranean cruise.
Starting with the French Riviera.
Nice. Monaco, Villefranche.
Easy to explore by train.
Yeah, just hop on, hop off.
And then Florence, the birthplace of the Renaissance.
David the Uffizi Gallery, the Duomo.
You can't miss those.
And they're easily accessible from La Spezia.
Then there's Rome.
The Colosseum, the Forum, the Pantheon, Vatican City.
So much history in one place.
They recommend planning ahead, though.
Because you probably only have one day in Rome.
Book your tickets in advance or get a guided tour.
To make the most of your time.
And then Naples and Pompeii.
The contrast between the modern city and the ancient ruins.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
And Malta, this unique blend of cultures.
The fortifications of Valletta, the British, influenced the colorful fishing boats.
Definitely a hidden gem.
And then, of course, the Greek islands.
Starting with Athens.
The Acropolis, the Plaka district, the ancient Agora.
You can feel the history there.
And then Mykonos, the party island.
With its whitewashed houses, windmills, and beaches.
And nearby, you've got Delos, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Wow, so much to see.
And finally, Santorini.
Those caldera views are iconic.
The white villages clinging to the cliffs.
Yeah.
The black sand beaches.
It's like something out of a movie.
So yeah, a Mediterranean cruise can take you to some truly incredible places.
It's an amazing way to experience a lot in a short amount of time.
But it's not for everyone.
Different types of cruise passengers.
Yeah, they talk about the floating Las Vegas crowd.
The people who are there for the onboard entertainment.
Right. And then you got the bucket list tourists.
The ones who just want to check off all the famous sites.
And the independent travelers.
Who are more interested in exploring on their own.
It's a good reminder that everyone has different expectations.
So you got to figure out what kind of traveler you are.
And cruising itself has evolved over the years.
It used to be super exclusive and formal.
Only for the wealthy.
Now it's much more accessible and casual.
Anyone can cruise. What's the big appeal here? Why do so many people choose this way to see the Mediterranean?
Well, convenience is a big factor.
Yeah.
You can get your transportation, your accommodation, often even meals, all bundled into one price. That definitely simplifies things, especially when you're talking about multiple countries and islands. For families traveling together, maybe multiple generations, the historical significance. This is the birthplace of Western civilization. Think about it. You're literally walking among ancient ruins, Renaissance masterpieces, layers upon layers of history, and the natural beauty. Breathtaking. 3 main categories of clothing. Smart casual for the evenings, comfortable stuff for lounging around the ship, and practical clothes and shoes for your excursions.
So no need to pack that tuxedo unless you really want to.
Skipping the elevators and taking the stairs. A lot of people gain weight on cruises. It's good to counteract that delicious food with some activity.
One trade-off for independent exploration, though.
Right. You often miss out on dinner in town and the evening atmosphere, since the ship usually leaves in the late afternoon or evening.
That's a good point. So if you're a real foodie, venturing off the ship for some meals is a good idea. What about the social scene on board?
There are lots of opportunities to meet people, whether it's just casual chats or organized events like parties.
You can be as social or as solitary as you like. Okay, big picture time. What are the main takeaways of Mediterranean cruising?
I think the main thing is that it's a fantastic way to see so much in a convenient and comfortable way. But you got to be aware of the potential downsides, like the crowds, and maybe feeling a bit disconnected from the authentic local culture.
So there are trade-offs. Ultimately, the best way to experience a Mediterranean cruise really depends on you.
Right. What's your travel style? What are your priorities? Do your research and plan accordingly.
So as you think about all those incredible places, all that history and culture, what speaks to you the most? Is it those ancient Roman ruins, the tastes of authentic Neapolitan pizza, the breathtaking view from a Santorini caldera? This deep dive has just scratched the surface. Each port has its own stories to tell, traditions to experience, history to uncover. It's up to you to explore further.